This tutorial I'm going to show you what I call the bounce animation, which is going to use the scale transform for a shape layer. We're going to use a circle in this case. I'm also going to show you some new techniques that I haven't shown previously, so these will also potentially be very helpful for you. Okay, first thing I need to do is right click in my project window panel, new animation. I'm going to call it bounce animation. Okay, I'm going to use HDTV 1080 2997 is my frame rate. Good. The only thing you want to really check is duration, because you may not have been the last person to make a composition. It'll use the last settings from the previous person. 10-second duration here is good. That's fine. And then the background color, keep it black. It's important to understand that this black color is not part of your animation. It's just a black screen to design over top of. Unlike Photoshop, if you put a white page at the bottom of your layer stack, the white page becomes part of your animation. Okay, so this is not part of the animation. It's just a black color to design over. Click OK. There we go. So there's your composition window. Now, I've got nothing on it. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the ellipse I said. So I'm going to go up to my Shapes tool, click and hold the left mouse key if you can't see the ellipse. Find the ellipse tool, select it, and then I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to hold Shift. Watch. Hold Shift will make it a perfect circle. I'm going to say I like that. I'm going to let go of my left mouse key first and then let go of Shift. Important to notice, as in previous tutorial, that there's the anchor point for this shape. If I scale this shape right now, it's going to scale around this point, not the center of our shape. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my pan behind tool. I'm going to click, it's disappeared, so I'm going to click off my shape layer, go back onto it, it brings it back up. I'm in my pan behind tool, click, drag, hold Command or Control, snap it to the center, the anchor point to the center of the shape. Now, I want to align this shape to the center of this composition. Say I want it to come out dead center of the composition. How do I do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new window called Align. So I'm going to go Window, Align. You may see it on the right, but you may not. If you don't, you have to open it and you get Align. Okay, and then you've got vertical and horizontal. So this is, you just click on this one to horizontally align it, left to right, and then you go on this one. That one will take it right to the top. Let me go to this one. Sorry, the third one. Okay, so horizontal and vertical are here to align it. Now it's dead center of the composition. Click off, the anchor points go away, the little nodes. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to do a scale transformation. I could click here and pick scale. You've got 5 different transformations you can do. What I'm going to do is start using shortcuts. So I'm on the shape layer, type in S for scale. It brings up the scale transformation for this layer. Okay, now what I want to do is go to 15 frames. Go to your time here and type in 15. You don't have to type all the zeros before it. It just takes you to 15 frames. It will assume frames unless you have 3 characters or more. Okay, so I'm at the 15 frame mark. It's important to notice that the play bar here, called the current time indicator, it's a play bar, will go to wherever you set this time to. Or if you take your play bar, it's going to show you where you are in the time. See how it's moving as I move my play bar? It's telling me where I am. Okay, again, I want to go to 15 frames, add 15 frames, enter, there I am. Now, I want to enter my first scale for this bounce effect. I want it to start from 0 in scale, overgrow to say 250%, and then I want to go settle back to 100% to this position. So that's 3 keyframes using all scale. First thing I want to do is start at 0, so I don't want to be able to see it. So I'm going to hit 0. Okay, now I've got a 0 value for scale. What's the problem? I didn't turn on the scale stopwatch to start. So I haven't actually set a keyframe yet. You gotta, on your first keyframe for any transformation on any layer, you gotta remember to turn it on. There's my keyframe. Got it. Good. And then you'll get the keyframe navigator. Okay? So at 15 seconds, it's going to be invisible. And you can see you can't see it because it's scaled right down. Let's go now to say 1 second. 1 second, 00 frames, enter. Takes the play bar there. At that point, I want it to scale up to 250%. I'm going to have it overgrow. See how it's dead center of our composition because of using our line here on the right? Nice, we like that. Okay. You can close these panels if they're crowding you out, so you can rearrange them and move them around or close some that you don't need. So I'm at 250% at the 1 second mark. Okay, let's go to the 1.5 second mark. That would be 1 second, 15 frames. There we go. And at that point, I want it to settle to its original scale, which was 100%. There we go. 3 keyframes. 100% is the scale that I originally made it. This next one is 250%, which is now overscaling. And then the original, the starting point is going to be 0. Okay, so how can I see the values here? Right now, I'm on this keyframe here. If I go to my navigator, it takes me to the middle keyframe. See, 250%. Go to the first keyframe, it's at 0. So that's how you can check your values easy, just jumping between keyframes. Good. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, I'm going to take my play bar well before the animation starts. Don't try to start it right where the animation starts. I'm going to take it back just a bit. It's only 15 frames. Hit play, and there you go. Scale up, scale down, settle to 100%. Now, if you notice up here on the right, it's not playing in real time. Let me just close the align panel here. Close panel. Okay, give myself more space. You notice it's not playing in real time. From previous tutorials, you should know that the first time it plays, it's doing all of the in-between frames and it's creating them, and it's going to have to do that the first time before it'll actually play smoother the second or third time through. So as long as you're seeing this, you could also see it was pretty slow. So let's watch again. Second time, a little better. Let's play it a third time. And you notice up on the right, it's now saying real time. So pay close attention to that, because as you adjust your timing, you may think what you're seeing the first time through is the actual speed of the animation, but it actually may not be playing in real time. So there's the speed. Boom. Kind of boring, right? It's number one, it's too slow. So I want it to scale up much faster to 200%. So I'm going to go to my first keyframe. There it is. Starts at 0. Go to my second. Look, it's taking 15 frames. That's too long. I could enter a value in here and change it to, like, I don't know, this starts at 15. I could say start at 20 if I wanted to. But I'd like to go a little bit more organically or more by feel and look. So I'm going to just take this keyframe and I'm just going to drag it. And I'm going to drag it closer to the first keyframe. And this distance now is shorter. That duration, the time it takes to get from here to here, is much shorter. That means this first part of the animation is going to be much faster. However, look at this gap here. That's a much longer time between the time it gets from 200% to 100%. So let's see how that's impacted the animation. Fast grow, slow to 100%. Play it again, not real time. Take it back. See? Okay, am I getting there? Third time through is a charm. Good. And I think, okay, maybe the first part of the animation where it goes from 0 to 250% is good, but it's taking way too long to bring itself down here to 100%. So again, I'm going to take that third keyframe and move it much closer to 250% keyframe. Now I've really sped up this whole animation. Again, it won't play real time. See the little gap up here in the green? It means it's got to render out, or it's got to do the mathematics to figure out these frames. So it's not going to play in real time. See how it had a little stutter there. This first part did because it had already rendered it, but the second part, no, not real time. Play it again. Okay, it's much faster. Boom. Okay, that's more like a bounce. Let me click off the layer now, and you won't have those nodes sort of distracting you. Okay. I think it could grow a little faster to 250 and slow down to get to 100. Let's see how that looks. So all I'm doing is playing with the length of time it takes to go from one keyframe to the next. Okay. Okay, maybe it's a little too long to get to the 100. Okay, I'm just going to go with this for now. There we go. That's like a bounce. Click off the shape. Boom. Okay, now what do I want to do? I want to give it more of an elastic feel. I want to make it look more natural, because in real life things accelerate and decelerate. They don't just start at 100% and then dead stop. So remember from previous tutorial we talked about adding what's called easy ease. So this is going to be acceleration and deceleration as the animation runs. So I select all 3 keyframes on this transformation. I can go function F9 and I get these little hourglasses. That tells me now I'm in what's called easy ease. Command Z, I'm going to undo that. If you have trouble with using F9, I had to use function F9. On a PC, it might be Alt F9 or something. But bottom line is, if you can't get there, just right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Okay? And there you go. There's our hourglass. So before I do that, I want to just show you what's called the graph editor. If you can see, it's very square, the animation. This shape here represents the animation. So it's full acceleration, stops, comes down full speed. So there's no subtlety to this animation. It's full speed, stop, full speed, back. I'm going to add again, select them, function F9 in this case. And now look at the graph editor. See how it's accelerating, gets to the top, stops, and then goes the other way, stops. Okay, so it's going to look much more elastic-like as it transforms, and it's going to look much more natural. So watch now how it's sort of, the bounce will now look kind of elastic-ish. Okay, again, doesn't run real time. Okay, one more time. And I think I can slow down the first part of it a bit. Maybe speed up the second part. Play it, not real time. Okay, not real time. Play it again. Okay, and then you get it sort of to what you like. So now I've got this going from 0% scale to 250% scale to 100% where it settles. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to do is in our lives and the way we see things, we don't always see things like purely without sort of what we call motion blur. If you look, if I scroll through here as it grows, nice sharp edges, it's too sharp and it's not natural for our eye. It's just too sharp. We can perceive kind of a blur when we see things moving. So I'm going to turn on what's called motion blur right here. This turns it on for the whole project. So if I had multiple layers, it would turn it on for everything. But it doesn't activate each layer until you tell which layers you want to apply it to. You're going to see it's going to cause a sort of softening of the edges. It's going to cause this blur, which is going to make it look more natural to us. So turn on motion blur. There it is. Nothing's happened. See, the edges are still what they are. I'm going to go turn on motion blur on this layer. Now you can see on this layer, I can't see anything that kind of looks like this. You got to go down to your toggle switches if you don't, and toggle switches modes, click on that. Oh, and it reveals some other tools, and there you go. There's the motion blur. Watch as I click on it and add it to this layer, you'll get softer edges. Disabled, release caps locks. What's that saying? Release caps locks. What the heck? There we go. Don't know why that was on. I guess somehow I had cap locks on. Okay. You see how now if I stop in the middle of the 0 to 250, how it's softened the edges? It's going to create a blur to my eye now. It's going to even look more natural. So the elastic effect with the easy ease, and then you add motion blur to anything, any layer that animates, you add motion blur to it because it'll look much more realistic to the eye. Okay, you see how it's kind of got a blur look to it? And that's more natural for us. And you might say, okay, maybe it's going too fast. So maybe I'm going to slow the whole thing down a bit. So you can still make adjustments. Okay, that's not real time, obviously. Real time. So maybe, and then you just keep finessing things until you like how the animation looks. Nice. I like this a little better. There you go. So that's what I call the bounce animation. and it's easy to do. It takes 3 keyframes, different values. Use your keyframe navigator to go through, and you can always change it. If for the middle position you don't like 250, you can change it to 200%. There you go. I'm not going to scale it up quite as big. When I play it, see the gaps there? It's saying, oh, got to render out as we play it. There, not real time, top right. Let's play it a second time. There you go. So it's not quite as extreme because I'm not scaling it up to 250. And you might say, that's what I want. That looks a little more natural. Click off the shape, get rid of the nodes. There you go. Maybe you say, I want it to come back quicker. We'll get into other uses of easing the motion. We'll be able to go to the graph editor and actually take control of the shape of the acceleration deceleration. That'll be in a future tutorial. Okay, but that's it for now. That's our bounce effect animation. You can use that for lower thirds or anything you're creating. You can do this with text or anything.